Alright, so let's go ahead and continue modeling this thing. We need to create the back part of the keyboard, which will be this part over here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to primitive, and I'm going to create a polygon cube. I'm going to scale that down a bit. And the way that we're going to do this is pretty simple. Let's take this cube that I just created, and let's make it a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger than it has to be. So something like that. And then we'll pull this out to the side. Let's go to wireframe mode. And something like that is good. Pull this off to the side. Okay, so that's basically the base of the keyboard there. So obviously it's too thick. We have to make it smaller. So let's do something like this. Put it somewhere about here. And so maybe take those bottom ones and move them up a bit, something like that maybe. So now we end up with something more like this. But let's go ahead and fix that. Let's maybe, I don't have any reference for the bottom, so I'm just gonna kind of just, I guess, eyeball this and see what comes out of it, you know. So let me extrude this, bring it down in on itself, and maybe what I'll do is I'll take this edge right here and maybe just move that down a bit like this. Maybe something like that. And I'm gonna have to come in here. I have to make the holes for these things. So let's go ahead and do that. So actually, let's go ahead and use the knife tool for that. Knife tool is going to be excellent for that. Let me go over here to Polymesh Knife Tool. And I'm going to make a cut right up there. I'm going to make another cut about down there. And I'm holding down Shift to make sure that it makes nice even cuts. So let's go ahead and make another cut right about here for this guy. Make another cut. And we can actually grab that and drag it a bit. We move that on over like this. Okay, let's make another cut about there. Looks good. Make another cut about right there. And let me see, where else do we need another cut? We're going to need a cut up here. And we are going to need another cut right about there. We're going to need another cut here. Another cut there. Another cut there. Another cut there. Another cut there. And we have the cut there. We have a cut for all of this. We have a cut for... We need a cut right there. We're also going to need another cut here. Beauty about this tool is you don't have to grab loops of edges to use it. You just basically cut, and it's like a big old knife that just cuts through the whole thing. So we have the cuts for that. We have the cuts for this. We have the cuts for this. Cuts for that, and for that, for that, for that, for that. And we have a massive cut here for all of this. So it looks like that's going to work just fine. Okay. Alright. So let's start to get this going here. Looks like this cut right here may have been a bit close, or a bit too far, I should say. I'm going to move it in closer like this. And I'm going to take these right here, move these in closer. Take those, as well as these and these. Go with COG and scale those in closer. It does look like they're kind of spaced apart a little bit too far. I'm going to take maybe all of these, bring those in a little bit closer like that. These definitely need to be brought in closer to these keys. And I'll select all of these and move them in a little bit closer. Oh, we still need a cut right here. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so we got that cut. It looks like we got all the cuts that we need. So let's go ahead and... Actually, no, we're missing one over here. Alright, now it looks like we've got all the cuts that we need. So what I'm going to do is start taking these polygons, wherever keys are located. Wherever we have keys, we have to select all of those polygons. Okay, it looks like we've got all the ones that we need. So let me go here to the camera view. I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate and push that down. I'm going to go into my side view here. I'll push it down to about here. I don't want to pass this bottom line right there. So I'm going to go to almost getting to that bottom line. So we end up with something more like this. So there's the, you can see the holes right there, the gaps where the keys are, which is going to look, of course, more realistic. And it's going to make a lot more sense to do that. Okay. Alright. Now we've got that done, let's take all these objects, freeze modeling on all of them, Alt and right click and merge them into one object. Take that tolerance down, delete the original, and now we have one object. Should have one object here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into edge mode here. I'm going to alt middle click on. No, it's not going to work out too well. Just go around here, use the loop select tool to select all these outer edges. I'm also going to go ahead and no, actually I won't. I'm just going to have those selected up there, and I'm going to bevel those. I'm Maybe I'll add a couple of subdivisions to that. And give it a bit of a bevel there. It looks pretty good. I'm going to select those edges right there. Select those. I'm using the Alt key to go ahead and range select all this stuff. Shift select, Shift Alt, left click. Shift select, Shift Alt, and left click. Should have all the corners there. And let's try beveling that. Give it a good distance, and let's give it. I think a good 3 subdivisions will look good. Yeah, it looks great. Looks magnificent. Ah, that's awesome. Awesome. Okay, so that looks really good. Like this, we do have some funny shading over here. So to fix that funny shading, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of those edges there. Let's mark them as hard edges, and that fixed the problem. Perfect. Go over here to my display options. I'm going to turn on headlight as well as specular. And I'm going to go ahead and select all those edges there and mark those as hard edges. So the problem is fixed on that side as well, which is good. Now we can go into our side view here. Kind of just rotate this and just put this into position right here. I'm going to take all these points. Take COG off, make sure point snapping is off, and grid snapping is the only thing that's on. And snap them to the grid right there so they get flat onto our imaginary table. And there we go, our keyboard is finished. It's got a nice angle like a real keyboard would have. Okay, let's freeze modeling on that. Grab the keyboard. Let's rename it to, you guessed it, keyboard. And once we do that, let's just go over to File. Let's export. Actually, we have to select object first. File export .xsi. It's going to work fine. Keyboard is a good name for it, obviously. Hit OK. It exports. Perfect. We're done.